Welcome to the Seriously Social podcast with your host, Simone Douglas. Our guest this episode is Vanessa Bamford from Vision Beyond Business. She chats with Simone about purpose-driven business and how to avoid burnout.
Welcome to this week's episode of Seriously Social, the podcast, and today I am joined by the lovely Vanessa Bamford from Vision Beyond Business. Vanessa, thanks for coming along.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Perhaps to start off with, can you just give us the Cliff Notes version of how you find yourself sitting here today?
The Cliff Notes version. I guess a bit about me.
Yeah.
I started my journey with Vision Beyond Business about 11 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, growing my business and wanting to network and everything. Met you.
Yeah.
And along the way, following you online, obviously found you're doing a podcast and interested in talking to people, and put my hand up. And
And what's your because you do so many things, but what is the thing that is your heart starter these days? What do you really enjoy?
So I restructured the business at the end of 19.
Yeah.
Because I was really following purpose and didn't feel like I was following it the way I wanted to. So wanting to make more of a positive impact for small businesses and generations to come, basically. So I was doing tax returns and financial statements and business advisory, but I didn't really feel the pull to it. There was just no passion over that. So now really focused on working with purpose-driven organisations and businesses, and providing the end-to-end service. So giving them the full, I guess, the confidence to know that the back-end finances are sorted, that they've got me by the side working as, I guess, their CFO with them, who the business owner as CEO, and really driving strategy to make a difference in what they're doing. So and loving it now. Like it took me a while to kind of navigate through everything, and really loving life and loving what I do now. Yeah.
So give us a bit more of an understanding. What is a purpose-driven business? So it's a great catchphrase.
It is, yeah.
But
what
does it mean?
Yeah, to me, it's somebody that's doing what they do for a real definite reason that's not money.
Yeah.
What I've found over time, so I've got, I guess, I still want to help all small businesses, but I predominantly work with sort of small, medium businesses that are growing. But through the small business space, I find there's a lot of people that go out and do what they want to do because they're passionate and they love what they do and they love helping people and they're good at it, but they burn out really quickly, or they're not making enough money. And so that to me, that's purpose. You're doing what you do because you love it, or you're doing what you do because you want to be that provider for your family, or you want a lasting legacy, whatever that might be. Or you've got for example, the not-for-profit organisations, they're doing it for
to make a difference,
better reason, and that's what I want to do, a ripple effect, I suppose.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me, because I worked out ages ago, I don't even remember which book it was, but they basically said you need to come up with what is your core purpose for being, like, as a human being. What is it that floats your boat? And mine was just connecting people to people for mutual benefit. So if I can do that every day, my life's complete, really. I might have good days or bad days, but as long as I get to play that game, that's fine. And then once I knew what that was, then I could go, well, my businesses either fit that or they don't. And I have to fit it. It's not negotiable. So if I looked at a business or acquiring another business that didn't fit that somehow, then it was a no. So it makes decision making much, much easier, I think.
Heaps easier. And even though I think the beginning journey of looking for purpose, like that's quite it's quite a journey in itself.
Hard.
Yeah, it is, because you go, I'm this is what I want to do and this is what I believe in. But until, like, I had to make some really hard decisions, and some decisions that wrecked me. I had to go through some really horrible things, but just trusting that this is why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it to be there for my kids. And I'm doing it to make it a difference, not just for the people I work with, but for them as well.
Yeah.
You know, like when I looked at my purpose being that's what it is in business, but in life I want to be the best mum I can be, so I'm making a positive difference for my kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm not. You know, I'm not making a positive difference for my kids. I'm not present. I'm not, you know, I'm rushing around. I'm trying to do a million things. I'm burning out. I wasn't putting, you know, my health first. What kind of role model am I being to them? And I think until I made this really heavy decision to restructure my business on what I thought it should look like, as much as it was kind of a really big decision and a really hard journey to go through after that as well, to kind of get back to better health. I can sit back and say I'm genuinely, you know, really happy with the mum that I am and the business owner I am. And
well, I think that's the challenge really, is because you've got and I don't know at what point, but and whether men also go through this. I know women as mums in business, definitely you've got the competing demands, so I assume that dads go through exactly the same thing, but it's, you know, my kids will say stuff to me like, you know, why aren't you coming to this? I'm like, well, your teacher only like emailed about it yesterday. My diary's booked up 6 weeks in advance. So same thing. I kind of had a conscious decision this year, and I hired an executive assistant because I was like, you know what, I would rather pay somebody and I have less money but more time. And it's great now because she schedules in, like she'll get the school newsletter. Every single event goes into my diary so that I don't have to think about it. It's all done. There's no danger of me missing that school play or that sports day or whatever else. And she just does all of the tasks that I don't need to do. Which then allows me to prioritise things like health. So same thing, I'm back in the gym and I'm lifting and I'm eating properly and doing what I need to do. And then all of a sudden business gets easier because I'm healthy and I'm happy and so I can do all the things. What advice would you give to someone who's in the burnout stage? Because I find normally at about the 3-year mark and the 5-year mark, or for me anyway, they were what am I doing? Years. It's like, why am I here?
I definitely hit the why am I here mark at about the 4th year, I reckon. But I pretty much reckon I was burning out constantly. I just kept hitting a wall and then hitting a wall and hitting a wall until I just hit that brick wall so hard that I couldn't get back up again. What would I say to somebody who's in burnout? Stop for a minute. Just stop. You've got to stop. Like, you know, you're in that constant thing of being busy and but if I don't get this done, well, if you don't get it done, the world's not going to end. No. You know, but you could.
That's true.
So I don't know, I still see it, and I think it's everyone's on their own journey, and I do find it really hard when I can see it in someone, and I just want to, you know, I'm saying, you know, like, I can see this in you, and if you could just stop and just slow down, but people have to find it in their own way.
They do. Well, and I think that it's a challenge at the moment because that glorification of busy is such a thing, and in the startup communities and online, you've got the hustle and grind, and you know, as much as people like Gary Vaynerchuk and Kerwin Ray are great in some respects, but they have entire teams sitting behind them, filming them, creating all their content, blah, blah. And I often say people will have gone off to an event like that, come back and think that they have to do all of this. And if you can just bring it back, you don't have to grow that fast. You don't have to.
Absolutely.
It's got to be sustainable, whatever it is.
I think I learnt after the big burnout that my motto became slow is fast. So every time I wanted to go fast, and even now, like, I guess having built so much more self-awareness as well, every time I get that anxious feeling of I've got to do this, I go, hang on, that's my sign. I need to slow down, because slow is fast for me. If I just do it slowly, I'll get there, and I'll get there quicker, and I'll get there at a reasonable pace as well, and I'm not sacrificing anything.
No, that makes sense to me. I think too, one of the other challenges, and I know for myself, I'm really aware that I've got so many connections on Facebook and everywhere else, that I have a responsibility to post when I have crap days.
Yes.
Like,
I like that you do that. I really do.
Because otherwise everyone's like, oh, she's so successful, she does this, she does that. And I'm like, yeah, I do all of that. Yeah. And then I build a blanket fort and I don't want to get out of bed for a day because I did all of that. Yeah. Like, there's a cost that comes for the things. Yeah. So I think, you know, one of the things that would be more beneficial is if more business owners told the truth about what it was to own a business. Yeah. Like, instead of glorifying.
I think it's vulnerability though, and putting yourself out there. That's really scary. Yeah. Like, I'm, you know, trying to. Yeah. But you've got to fight your own demons, your own head as well with things, you know. I try and put things out there, and then it's good now because I guess I've got a marketing person helping me, so I can say, hey, I'll write this out, and then you just kind of, you glaze over the bits that just kind of need tweaking a little bit, but still leave it in my language. Yeah, nice. And I feel like by having a filter, I can put more things out there.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I wouldn't have thought about it that way, but you're right, because it's it's the confidence in knowing that someone else has checked it over. Yeah. And for me, definitely when it comes to like articles that I write and things like that, I have to have someone check it out because I literally dump my brain on a page. And there's usually a million spelling mistakes and glaringly grammatical errors that someone's going to pick me up on at some point. Yeah. But yeah, it means that I don't worry about it too much. But what's interesting, I suppose, is I spent it was maybe like 30 days a year ago. I went, for 30 days, I'm going to be unapologetically me. I'm going to do what's right for me. I'm going to do what I need. I'm going to do it politely and kindly, but I'm just going to be unapologetically myself. And for the first probably 12 days, it was really painful and scary. Yeah. And I'm like, I just said no to going to this event. I just said no to this and that. But it really cured me of caring about being judged. Yeah. So, and I think that was massively liberating when I stopped caring about. I'm like, I'm putting it up. If you don't like it, don't read it. Yeah. If you disagree with me, you're allowed to have an opinion, and I don't have to personalise the fact that you have a different opinion. Yeah. But I wonder too whether that's like a 40-year-old plus thing. Cause
I do think, absolutely. It's like you hit 30s and then you start kind of having that whole attitude of, I don't really give a fuck. Sorry.
No, it's true though.
But I don't, you know. I look at my daughter and I think, if only I could give you the things that I've learned, you know, and I know you've got to go through those things, but to not worry what other people think is definitely a very liberating thing, but I think it's a 40s thing.
Everyone I seem to speak to that's in that place is over the age of 40, so I go, maybe that's just we know that we've got, you know, not as much life ahead of us as we used to. And
I did read an article recently that said that. People over 40 tend to be more purpose-driven. Yeah. Because they've had, I guess, so many experiences in life to get them there. They have better mental health. Yeah. And they generally don't care so much what people think.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was having a conversation with one of my kids the other day because I'm really concerned about labels. So labels is a thing that, and we give kids, because they live in this digital world now as well, they start labeling themselves with stuff that you just go, did I take you to see a mental health practitioner? Did I, so one of my kids is like, Mum, I have really poor social skills and, social anxiety. And I was like, no, you don't. I'm like, you are egoically sound and you have an internalized locus of control, which means you don't care that much what other people think of you, which can be construed as poor social skills if you fail to take the time to package your delivery. I said, but you're perfectly capable of packaging your delivery, which means that's a choice. That's not poor social skills. And he was like, rolled eyes. I'm like, but it's just,
of course.
I find it fascinating because there is this whole And not taking away from people that suffer from anxiety or mental illness, because that's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah.
But there is another whole area of people who are really just worried. They're under stress, and they're not necessarily doing things about it to address the stresses that they're under.
Absolutely.
I would like to see people just stop, slow down.
Yes, so would I.
Yeah.
I think in general, if we all could stop and slow down, life would be better for everybody. Absolutely. Because when you're overwhelmed and you're worked up, you're also like you're not as kind because you don't have the bandwidth. Your window of tolerance is pretty low, and things kind of. I see it in people now, I guess, because I have slowed down and I go, oh, they need to slow down. Yeah. They just need to take a breath, But that, in talking to my kids and stuff as well, saying, you don't know what's going on in other people's lives. So if you don't want to feel that feeling of, I'm worried about what other people think of me, then stop thinking things of other people, stop judging other people.
I like that.
Yeah. So if we stop judging, then we're not going to worry that we're being judged.
Yeah. I had someone ask me the other day that who do I compare myself to? Yeah. And I looked at them, I'm like, I don't. What? And they're like, no, surely, like when you see people, you meet people, you compare yourself to them. I'm like, no. And it was really like, it was weird because I never have. Yeah. Like, I probably, like when I was a teenager, sure, I would have gone, oh, she's really pretty, or he's really athletic, or, they've got a really nice outfit on. Yeah. But somewhere along the lines, I cured myself of that by, it was another one of those like 30-day things, and it's probably comes from having a mother that's a therapist. Yeah, she's like, she goes, everyone judges everything, and it's really unhealthy. Yes. And so I want you to practice non-judgment for 30 days. So every time you go to have an opinion about someone, you have to stop it. Yeah. And so I really don't see. Like, I see the person in front of me. I don't see how their hair is, what they're wearing, all of those kinds of things, unless I actively cultivate it because I want to say something nice to them about something. But it was. I was struck by how many people are living their lives using up all of this energy, comparing
themselves.
Yeah. And if they let all of that go, then they'll have all this energy to build the life that they want. They don't need to compare themselves.
I think it's being lost as well, though. Not knowing who you truly are and not allowing yourself to find that and be okay with that, whatever that might be. I've definitely got a inner fire that I never really liked because it was, for me, it was I've got to be kind and I can't let that kind of, I saw it as really negative, but I like my fire now. I've come, I'm at peace with the fact that, I'm pretty fiery.
That's not a bad thing.
No, not at all. I think it's a strong thing, and I really like it now, and I've channeled it in a positive way. So,
Well, and I think if you embrace those aspects of yourself, then you can. Yeah. I think, it's funny. I have a conversation with Alex every now and again where I go, you don't want that part of me off the leash. Yeah. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, there is a part of me that will maim and kill someone with my vocabulary, but you don't want that off the leash. I don't let it off the leash, but I give it a little bit of
it's there if you need it.
If I really need to, it's fine, but it's not necessary most of the time.
I say it with my son. He's only 7, but he has this, and it is a fire. It's an inner fire. It's very, I say
it's a really strong energy.
It is, and I've said to him, you've got mum's superpower, but you don't want to use it for bad. You've got to use it for good. You've got to take control of it. So he's 7,
he'll learn.
He's still learning, but you can. You can get so fired up, and that words were never my thing, and so it was always, I guess, suppressed until I kind of exploded. Yeah. Whereas now, started Muay Thai about a year and a half ago.
Kickboxing is great.
I love it.
Yeah, yes. I did martial arts for a while.
It's fantastic. And I spoke to someone recently who said that being able to feel your power in martial arts is super empowering, and I do. I love kicking a bag. I love sparring, and Yeah.
That's good. Now see you making me miss it. Back to
Oh,
it.
you do. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, I think that's a really nice way to end. So
Yeah.
like embracing your superpowers
Absolutely.
and moving on to create the world that you want. Vanessa, thanks very much for joining
Thank you
me
for
today.
having me.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, cool.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of Seriously Social. Check our website for the latest news, show notes, and for details about Simone's latest book, Confident Networker.